Once you get the hang of this technique, you can go really creative with it. Hi everyone, welcome to Qube. My name is David and today we will make these sweet looking curved inlays. At first sight, these things can be really scary to get the hang of, but once you know a couple of tricks, it's really easy. And I'll show you just how I do it so you can learn from my mistakes and try making some inlays for yourself. You can do this with any material you want. You can use a brass, aluminum, wood, thin strips of veneer. Anything goes with this technique. The only thing you have to change in the process is the diameter of your bit, but more about that later. First thing we're gonna have to do is make a template for these curves, and that's exactly what we're gonna do to start off with. So why don't you come a little closer? I'll show you. Let's dive right in. Now, to make this shape, you don't need much. You just need a piece of MDF or plywood or anything that you have lying around. I suggest you go with at least 6 millimeters or more, since we're gonna have to make it into a fluid curve, and it's actually really easy. You just take a thin strip of wood, veneer or anything. It doesn't have to be colored veneer, but that's a little bit nicer to show you guys how it goes. You start off by making a mark at the end, and you just take 2 nails and put the strip like this on top and fix it in place, and then we'll go from there. And now you can actually play around with how you curve it. Just make sure these 2 nails are really secure in place, because there will be a lot of tension on it. And now we can start playing around with the design. And if you find a design that's of your likings, then you can put a nail in place. I think I'm gonna go with something like this. So we're gonna have to put a nail at the back here, just like this. There we go. Once you have the start and finish in place, you can start playing around with the design. I think I'm gonna go with something like this. And so I'm gonna have to fix a nail here and on the bottom here. You can keep making adjustments as you go to get that perfect curvature you're after. And once you have the line you love, well, it's easy. You just trace it with a sharp pencil. There you go. We'll take this over to the bandsaw, cut this out. You can do this with a jigsaw as well. It doesn't really matter. We'll do the final touches afterwards anyway. So, since I was so smart to make my template only 6 centimeters too short, I made a new one. This one is bigger, and well, you can learn from my mistakes. It's a handy tip as well. Make sure your template hangs over by 2 or 3 centimeters on each side. This way your router has something to reference to, even outside of your panels. If you come too short, then you have no reference point and you'll have too much room for mistakes. Now, these lines aren't crisp at all. So to make these a little smoother, I made this little sanding stick, and it's basically a piece of veneer, really thin, with some sandpaper on top and a little extra for some detailed work. And the extra block here is just so I can have a little hold on while I'm sanding. And this is really great because you can put this up like this, put it really flat and just run over it. Like so. You might want to put this in the vise while you're sanding. It will work a little faster, but because it's so flimsy, it's really helpful to get a fluid line on top of this one. For the next step, I'm gonna be using my router and this guide bushing, or at least I think that's what it's called. I have a bit in there which is 2 millimeters thick, and I know for a fact that my veneer is 1.5, and so that means I'll have 0.25 millimeters on each side left of clearance, so I have just a hair of wiggle room for the veneer. But that's okay, because once you put in the glue and the veneer and all of that, you barely see that gap of 0.25 on each side. So that's what we have there. Let's go. We're just gonna mark out our first line on our 2 panels and make the first line and put in some veneer, and we'll just repeat the process until we have about 7 colors. Oh yeah, and before I forget, to clamp the template onto the workpiece, there's 2 ways. Either you clamp it with clamps, or you use double-sided tape. I think the double-sided tape works really well because it's really strong and you don't have to worry about interference with the clamps or bumping into it and making a mark in your piece. So I'm gonna go for the double-sided tape just because it's quick and easy and reliable. While my battery was charging, I've cut all of these lovely strips of colored veneer, and this one is ready for cleanup. As you can see, there's just a tiny bit of tear out. Well, not really tear out, but like hairs from the plywood that come up. We're just gonna run through it with a fine sandpaper, and we'll glue in the first strip. As far as glue goes, we're just gonna use a regular wood glue. And there we go, these are all ready to go. I really love how they turned out. I think they look amazing. It's even worse when you think it's only shop furniture, but hey, I don't care. I like working in a nice and pleasant environment. It's the same with all the stupid little jokes around the shop here. It's the same with these doors for the router table. I like to have nice stuff around me. It inspires me. So there we go. This one will be a door. It will be the right side door of our cabinet. And this one is almost ready, because I say almost because we're gonna chop these up in 3 parts, because these will make for the drawer fronts. And there we go. That's it for this week. I really love how it turned out, as always with these colors. Even though it's a shop project, I still love when it looks good and it feels good, and that's definitely the case for this one. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do have some questions, please let me know down below, and if you want to see more behind the screens, then be sure to follow me on Instagram, because I'm posting there all the time. And that's it for this week. I hope I catch you next week for another colorful build. Until then, don't forget to make something colorful. Bye bye!